author, you have a book coming out. I know that you just finished 9 years at Swarovski as managing director of Swarovski Gems. And I know that you started Coconut, which last time I heard was about connecting people. So
correct, yes.
Please give us warm hand to Mr.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. I'll try not to disappoint. Like Mike said, it's all about the community, and I think I have something here that I really want to share with you. It's about employee empowerment. When I joined Swarovski, maybe first I'll give you a little bit background. I've always been in manufacturing. What these companies have in common is they're all family-owned businesses, and they were high-quality products, at least niche in their market. So what I'll be talking about today is when I started in 2014, managing the Swarovski Gemstones factory, which at the time was part of the Gemstones business. Swarovski in those days, now it's changed, but in those days it was managed by 5 family members, 5th generation, that each had a different business unit. And our business unit was taking care of the manufacturing of gemstones, everything besides crystal, which was done at the headquarters in Austria. So when we started, it was really they decided we need to do something, because there was a lot of different reasons why they wanted to implement empowerment within the gemstones business, which was spread sales offices across the world. Total population, we were about 700, of which about 350 were in the factory when I started. The internal factors that really determined the reasons for change was 2 years prior to that, they held their first Swarovski satisfaction survey for the employees worldwide, and the results that came back there in terms of engagement and enablement was really an eye-opener for the management of the company. Business at the factory was really had a very high turnover rate in terms of employees, which, as you know, is really a cost to the business. And financial performance was quite poor in terms of that. Also external factors, we saw that consumer behavior was changing. They needed a lot quicker. Before they were talking about 8 to 10 weeks of delivery time. That was no longer sustainable, so they knew consumer were changing. Also a new generation of employees. The new generation, they want to know why they're doing things. It was no longer a case of just listening to the boss and say, yes sir, no sir, and just do what they were. No, they want to know why they were doing things. And of course, a lot of increased competition. We were working on, our main product was cubic zirconia, which is a diamond simulant. It's a created synthetic stone. And we were under enormous price pressure from China, which were able to start generating better quality. So what we saw then, we said, okay, let's measure. If you really want to determine where you stand in terms of where the organization is and how it is perceived, not only by the stakeholders, but also by the employees, they decided to measure. So we decided to measure here on the left all the different key performance indicators to determine the level of satisfaction within the organization. So really from career advancement opportunities, including leadership, resources, whatever it was there. If that was then aligned with the vision and strategies, if you have engaged committed employees as well as enabled employees, it should become then a result of more effective employees, thereby leading to better business results. But as we saw then, as I said, in 2012, the numbers were really horrible in terms of engagement and enablement, scoring below 50. And the poor performance really led to poor business results. The business, when I took over in 2014, had been managed by a Thai local for the previous 12 years. So these numbers really did not really indicate my performance, but more when I took over the organization. So they were faced over the 12 years prior. They had over 52% of turnover and had below 4% of EBIT. So really not doing well as an organization. And then we introduced through different workshops, and first we started with the leadership. This is really the leaders of the gemstones business that approached the whole organization first the leaders of all the entities, and then further broken down. And we started first with a core purpose. And what is the core purpose there to do is to really tie the people around a common drive. You know, why are we here? What are we here to do? What is the direction of our development? How do we want to proceed with the organization? And it was really help tie in the whole company, I mean 700 people worldwide, along a common purpose. And this really helped because it determined our why. Sorry, can I just put this down? Am I loud enough for everybody to hear without a microphone? No? Sorry? Okay, sorry. Sorry, and then we'll continue with this. So once we were aligned with the core purpose, we would then first focus on people and the behavior, because I think the key to that is understanding that everybody has a part. If you see your leaders starting to behave in different ways and really empowering you as a leader and further down the line, then you're also more inclined to do so. So what we try to bring to the organization, to all, I mean, we're talking everybody in the organization, from the cleaning ladies to the production operators, supervisors, management, all the way to the top. Everybody was involved and would get through these workshops. So it is very time intensive, or it was very time intensive, and it took about 2-3 years before we started to see some improvements. So we really tried to tell and inform people it's key to be self-driven. You know, it's not just looking up to your leader and waiting for him to do something or the other. No, it starts with you. What can you bring to the organization that would help us towards the common purpose? Leaving the comfort zone. Everybody knows the little circle with the ever concentric circles, saying, okay, the further you go out of your comfort zone, the more it becomes a challenge, and the further even it becomes, you know, you get into a panic zone. So if you do the leaving of your comfort zone in small increments, your comfort zone increases, and then you become more comfortable with whatever new challenge was coming your way. And what was key also is, of course, you know, it's not alone to have the core purpose. You really need to make sure that everybody was aligned with the common goals, right? It's not just a matter of, okay, what do I need to achieve in my position or in my department? I need to reach my KPIs and my targets, and if I reach them, I've done my job. No, that is not true, because if you work in a large organization, you might, especially in production environment, you might have different fields or different departments that are working not in a line. So you're doing, dealing with different products, perhaps different processes. So it's important to make the whole organization understand that, listen, it's not about you or your department, it's about everybody. So we have to put the company's goals above our own. It's only when the whole organization wins that you in turn will win as well. So how can we achieve that? It's by giving feedback. We need to hear from your employees. I know this is against their local culture. Thai culture and lots of places in Asia, it's not a culture of open questioning of authority. You're taught from a very young age, don't question your elders, say yes, pa, yeah, yes, ma, or your teachers or your supervisor, you always have to listen and don't question. So here we are with a concept to say, no, we want you to question, because you are, you have an equal say in how the business does, if we want to make you accountable for what you're trying to achieve or what we're trying to achieve as an organization. So if you can convince your staff that, listen, if you achieve your targets for the company, it will help you as well as the company. So how can we do that? There were a few keys that was really important. Being a global organization, you're scattered across the world from Europe. We had sales office in America. We're basically across the world. So how can we ensure that we all drive the same way? By being connected, being connected with each other within the organization. And how do you do that? By giving feedback, by reaching out. It's not just about sending an email and just waiting. No, it's proactively reach out to your colleagues and then be specific in your questions. Don't spend hours and hours on an email. If you could do that on just a pickup, you have the tools, MS Teams, Skype, whatever it may be. Be entrepreneurial. You have a voice. And what I've noticed in my working life, I've always worked in factories, that more often than not, it's the production, the line operator that has ideas. So how can we cultivate these ideas and give them the confidence to speak up and share those ideas? And the worst thing to do is when somebody comes up and I have an idea, is to shoot them down and say we've always done that or we've tried that before. No, because then they will never come back to you again. To say, okay, how, and try to let them speak a bit more about that. Be flexible, don't be rigid in how you deal with your communications or how you deal with your colleagues. As a leader, I think it's important to be approachable. So if you have an open door policy, which I always had, and you see somebody at the corner of your door, even if you're working on an email, that's not going to go away. Jump it and give them the undivided attention. Make sure that these people get the confidence to go talk to the big farang in the office in the corner. It's scary for many of them because they're not used to that. So it was really a challenge. So with being with the point of giving feedback, you of course have to be responsive as well. That only goes without saying. You need to be responsive. If you have a request, talk to it. Be given the answer. So it's basically when you're talking about it's a change of mindset. It's a change of behavior. There is the way we used to do it, and this is the way we should be doing it. And it's a long process. It's a slow process. But if you give people the confidence and the opportunity to do so, it's amazing what they can achieve, and that how more confident they become in their. A production operator usually does not have a voice in an organization here in Thailand. So why not give them a voice? You would be surprised what you could find out. So it's really about identifying the how, right? So we did the why and the how. Now, if we're asking people to really put the company's goals above their own goals, then it's important to make them understand and to be transparent about what you're trying to achieve as an organization. And I understand that if you talk on EBIT and tax and interest to a production operator, he's not going to understand. So you need to put it in a language that is easily digestible. But they have an equal right to know how we are doing. They're of course, everybody knows if you're a production operator, it's a lower salary, it's many times overtime based, and they're looking forward to that bonus at the end of the year. So if you are, as a leader, say that you have the power to say there is a bonus or there is not, isn't it in their interest to understand why there is yes a bonus or no bonus, right? So be transparent on how we're doing. So it's important to inform them, okay, what is the strategic directions and what is the financial goals? And this is an example. I've tried to make it a bit more generic. But this was the strategic direction at the time of the gemstones business. We had different lines of quality of our gemstones. We wanted to grow the premium product line. We also wanted, as I said, bigger competition from China. We wanted to protect the current quality levels of the lower grades as well. We wanted to develop segments beyond the gemstones, so we tried some jewelry lines as well at the time. And also into new materials. There's so many gemstones out there. Which ones are the ones that the customer wants, and then also go into more branded premium product with a growth rate of 5% and an EBIT of 10%. So this was communicated through the whole organization. The cleaning ladies at the factory knew about this, of course, maybe put in a bit more simpler language for them to understand. And then we had a program, because empowerment is all about making people accountable, right? Let them achieve, give them the freedom to make decisions, and let them, because they're all aligned already with the company's goals. So if they know what they need to achieve in their department, it's of course adjusted in terms of a production department. It could be maybe incentives in the production to reach certain outputs, then would help them reach our larger goals. So it's important that we then implemented a circle concept. So we're saying we are empowering our team. The best way to do that is to generate or gather a team around of all the different departments that have an influence on the decision being made. So if we saw that one of the key strategic directions was grow premium product, we will put a circle of people, middle management, not top management, that would then jointly decide on where to go or how to approach those targets and how to achieve those targets, all without any influence of the top management. They were empowered to make these decisions because everybody was aligned along the same goals. So it's really up to the leaders to give your team this confidence and show this in action. So they decided with the circle concept, we would be more connected across functions. So we would be, have physical meetings, we would have workshops, we would have virtual meetings, all to drive a certain focus point or topic. It would be a lot faster because imagine one of our focus topics was one of our major customers. He thought he was bringing so much part of the turnover that we would put a special team around them to come up with new innovations, new products and all that. So we had product development, product management, we had the SEM to make sure that we could deliver, we had production to make sure it could be produced. So all these people were around focusing on this one customer and giving their undivided attention on this customer, and this really helped to generate more business with this customer because the customer felt heard, felt that they were being looked after and that they had points of contact, immediate actions from us, the supplier of these products. So it was really about, giving the confidence and saying, how can we do this? How can we add more value for the customer or for a certain target to reach? So the circles could really make decisions without the involvement of the top management, and you could really implement this at all levels because, of course, in terms of the whole global gemstones business, the circles were focused really on the big targets, but we at the factory, we wanted to implement flexible working hours. So we put a circle together of all the different departments, let them come up with different concepts or different ideas of how we could implement flexible working hours. So these are some of the examples. Like I said, we had a grow premium product line circle, so we had all these people taking care to make sure that every single department that is needed for their input is there and could make, therefore, drive the decisions a lot faster. Same for expanding new markets. There we of course have also sales as well as global sourcing to give their input. So at the beginning of the slides we said if you have all these different categories aligned, if you really have engaged employees and enabled employees, is it really leading to better business results? And I can say definitely yes in terms of the satisfaction of the employees. As you could see in terms of engagement and enablement, we grew over the ensuing years. So even in 2020, after the whole interruption that COVID brought, we had to reduce from 360 staff to 120 staff in 1 year, in 2020. In 2021, we had to rehire because of the volatility of the market. So you would imagine that as an employee in the production floor, they would think, what the hell are you guys doing? You let 120 people go, and the next year you hire 60 people new. But still, the satisfaction was, and I really, honestly, this was an outside agency, they did the numbers, I questioned them many times, are you sure about these numbers? And they said yes. So it was amazing to see in terms of satisfaction of the employees, we definitely can say yes, there is a benefit. Turnover. In the first 12 years without empowerment, we enrolled in 2014, and you can see it was still a bit hesitant, but we really started to see after 3 years, 4 years. It takes time. This is not an immediate fix. It takes a lot of time and an effort as a leader to really get this going in an organization, because it really starts with you. But in terms of turnover, we really saw again, yes, it was a big difference. And the same in EBIT in percentage. It was a definite, and to be honest, and something I'm immensely proud of in 2020, okay, this is the percentage without the big severance pay of 120 people that we laid off. But over the 7 manufacturing centers in Swarovski, we were the only one with a positive EBIT that year. So we were really proud of that, and even had a record year in 2021. So I think in conclusion, if you follow a few key points of successful employee empowerment implementation, it's really, okay, first I think you need to see where we are at an organization. And nowadays it's a lot easier to make. You don't have to use expensive outside companies. You can do easily in SurveyMonkey, set up across different dimensions in terms of getting a pulse of the organization. What we also did is we went a step further. When we got the results from the employee survey, we didn't leave it at that. Everything that was scored low in terms of being unfavorable, we asked again an external company to come in and do a focus group interview to really understand why were these areas scored so low, and then what could we do about it in improving them. So it's important to have these clear action plans, and again, giving feedback, communicate this to the organization. Hey guys, you raised a red flag in these kinds of issues. We've put them on the list, we put a committee in place, and we're taking action, and these are the results, regular updates. So it's really important to, again, I said it a couple of times already, start with the leaders who have to give trust. And I know it's difficult to do in a setting like this. It's very easy to do because the trust is here in the community of Proseed. But especially when you start in an organization, it's not always easy to win the trust, and everybody says it, you need to earn it. So I think it's easier as a leader to make people more accountable, to give them that confidence. And if they come to you with an issue, next point, no finger pointing, it happened already. So what does it matter who's done it, right? Let's learn why did it happen, how can we improve it so it doesn't happen again. If it happens over and over and over again, that's a different issue, a different path of fixing that. But if it happened already, let's learn from it, okay? What can we do to get over this and get better from it? So really have empowered, engaged, and enabled employees, and listen to them. Have a suggestion box is not enough. Go through the factory as a leader and listen. Get a pulse from the organization. I think, especially in the manufacturing environment, it's very important. Again, communicate regularly. What we did at the factory was HR morning talk once a month. Every month we had a couple of issues where we would first update the organization on how we were doing, but also HR issues, whatever it may be. We would go into each department and just make small announcements, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, but you were assured that it was done personally by me with the head of HR, and you knew that if there was questions, people had immediate chance to ask you. So of course, it takes time away from you, but I think it's time well invested. So, we're all taking joint responsibility, right? We all share the same goals, and if the organization wins, then we all win. We all get a bonus, and everybody's going to be happy, and we can get a salary increase next year, and it's going to be good. But if we're not doing well, then you also have the understanding of the people that why we're not doing well, because they've seen it coming since June update, right? There is no surprise at the end of the year why there is or is not a bonus. So in a production environment, I think it's important to give people also a production incentive scheme so that they can try to, that it motivates, at the end of the day, it's a lot financial driven, but with small production incentives, I think you can implement easily in an organization, and that motivates the people to do better. And everybody is happy at the end of the day because, yeah, it's a cost on the organization, but you have the output there, so, it's win-win. So of course, support the development. Listen, at the end of the day, the people that usually go for training are supervisor level top management, but give the opportunity to the employees as well. And yes, it eats in your production time, but again, you teach them on ISO norms or on safety norms, 5S, whatever, Kaizen, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, it's a benefit because you invest the time and the effort and the money in training. It will come back to you. It will come back to you. So be also open to try new processes. At Swarovski, it was always some new development, some new product, some new machinery. So be open to don't just be rigid, be flexible. Be ready to take these things on. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about welfare. We don't do everything for free. We need some incentive. So there is a lot of things you can do in terms of benefits. But at the end of the day, a lot is financially driven, so I think as an organization you can achieve this by doing small things here and there. And make sure that everybody knows, we're in it together, be it if you're a team of 10 or a team of 30. whatever the size of your organization, if you make sure that you're all on the same page and you have this complete, open and transparent relationship with your employees, you will see benefit because they do appreciate it. You know, sentiment is changing. You see how fast news spreads. But this is also the same in an organization. You know, rumors is terrible, especially the larger the organization, but rumors can be good as well. And you can benefit from having this open and transparent organization. I'm a believer. I've seen the benefits. It takes time. Again, we saw really changes 3 to 4 years after doing the implementation, doing all the workshops, but it paid off in the end. And listen, we had to take a big hit in 2020 with reducing 120 people. And at the end of last year, myself and most of my management team also had to leave. I had to announce this to the factory, and it was a sad occasion. Was happy that I didn't at least get any cheers for me going. That at least a tear here and there was nice to see. It was an emotional moment, but I feel we've left the organization better for it, and the people that still remain today are still doing a great job, and you know, they're empowered. And one benefit as a leader is that, okay, if you invest the time at first, then in the long run, your job gets easier because they bring you less and less and less. You know, things don't escalate to your level that often anymore. They know what to do, they know how you would handle it, they've learned from you, and they will do the right thing. You know, if an employee has an issue with a supervisor and they can't do anything about it, she will directly go to her head of department. And on the slight chance that she can't handle it either, then it comes to me. And then it's already filtered, and basically most of the time the solutions are already there by the time it gets to your table. So it's, at the end of the day, it's after a while, if it's really implemented, it becomes more of a guidance and being there as a supportive leader to continue them, you know, growing them as leaders, and I think I did that. So yeah, it was a great experience. But all good things come to an end. So as does my presentation. So if you want to be an empowered leader, it really has to start with you, and show this through actions, through your behavior, through attitude changes, through things that you want to implement. And if you need any help with that, I'm really very happy to help you with that. So just let me know by sending me an email. That is it. I hope I'm still pretty much on time, not too late, not too early. Yeah, thank you. Are there any questions? Yeah.
But let's do this properly. So you keep this microphone. Amazingly, you're empowered with 2 microphones. And yeah, just your name.
Should I stand up? Or?
Do whatever you want.
Hello everyone, my name is Jade. It's actually my first time here, so I'm very excited as well. So I have 2 questions. The first question is actually you already clarified that the critical topic of your talk is all about feedback and surveys and knowing what your employees are feeling as well as thinking. And you clarified that actually Swarovski, when they did this, they employed a third party to do the employment survey. Now, my question in connection with that is that, do you think that there is a crucial difference between employing a third party to do the survey as opposed to doing and executing the survey or the feedback in-house? For example, Swarovski on its own with their human resource team would execute the feedback as opposed to employing a third party to execute the feedback. Is there a critical difference?
No, I think absolutely not, because even as you saw, we did 4 in total, and the third we decided to step away from using the external agency, and we did it all ourselves in SurveyMonkey. I think it's all about having the right questions, measuring the right dimensions. You can do this by yourself. I think it's one key is to make sure your employees have time. Don't ask them to do this at home when you have some time. give them an hour to sit down. If it's production operators, they might not have it online, even though normally everybody has a smartphone. So you could do it, as a Survey Monkey online, or by paper, but make sure they get the time during the working day to fill this out. So it doesn't matter to use external. What I think is important, if you want to do the focus group interviews afterwards, to have an external there. Because nobody wants to talk to.
Is it because
it's neutrality, it's anonymity, because it will be a random sample out of production from people that have been there long to newbies to different levels in the organization, and if it's an external party, they're more inclined to really speak their mind, right? Even if it's an empowered organization, if they want, if it's the HR manager asking the questions, why was this, they might not be as open, depending on how the HR department is perceived. But there it would be better to do somebody externally.
Clear. So sorry, if you would permit me my second question.
I think we allow other people to ask questions also, right?
Of course, yeah.
Who wants to ask the question who is not Jenny? Do we have someone? Yes, Ms. Nui.
Hi. Hi, I'm Millie. My question is, as you are implementing, and you have all these leaders, right? And you had to get their buy-in into following what you wanted to do to increase engagement and satisfaction. What are like the top 3 issues you had to overcome with your own managers or directors in order to get them to get on board?
Thank you for the questions. Yours was very nice as well. The way we did it is, I was introduced to the whole concept with N-2 level of the same, MD level across the globe. 3-day workshop in a hotel, intensive. So we did that then with the management team. And after that, we of course couldn't always take the whole company to hotel rooms for 3 days, but the management team also had the 3 days together with the consultants that we used at the time, as well as one of the management team that came from Austria. And when we further rolled it out, what I tried to do is, okay, if my management team now needs to implement this, I want to make sure that they know what they're doing. So I've asked them then to facilitate the workshops for the supervisor level, with my just observing and guiding and steering here and there. And then the supervisors, once they had their 3-day workshop then, of course, in the factory, they then had to participate in doing the workshops to their teams of the operators. So this is the way we did it in terms of overcoming any issues that we might have, because you could steer it along as they were doing the activities of the workshop. It was not a row of benches in front of a screen. It was a circle, and the groups were no more than 20 people. 4 whiteboards, implement this. Okay, what does it mean? Go put it on board. How could this affect us? What we need to do? And always, you can always guide. So I think we started with these 3-day workshops, really planted the seed. And what really helped for us is that we heard this from our bosses. They were telling us to do this. And now the boss is telling me to do this. And my boss is telling me to do this. Because at the end of the day, it's being, we have to tell them to be self-driven. So how are we showing them to be self-driven if we ask the consultant to do every single workshop down the line of the factory? Or if I do that down the line, right? Every time we said, okay, now you do it. You clear after 3 days, you understand it, you've grasped the concept. Okay, now you do the workshop. You coordinate or facilitate the workshop of 20. And this is how we did it. Is to always have a mix, not always all the people in this department, all the people, always a mix. Because this always opened the doors as well, because in a factory of 6 floors with 300 people, you only know most of the people, of course, in your department, right? But this kind of mixed the whole organization up, because knowing that we had such volatility in our different departments in terms of work, we actually did job rotations. If your department doesn't have work, this department has overwork, can you go and help? Training. So after 9 years, almost all of our operators were multi-skilled in all the departments. So that is also something that helps in a manufacturing. you need, because many people opt for, okay, do this and do this only, because then you get the best, right? But come on, imagine, I did, in my training, I did just 3 hours of sorting gemstones under the microscope, and I was already going nuts. And we have people, and we have to ask people in the factory to do this for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. So better to make them a nice environment and provide all the benefits they need, because at the end of the day, it's not me doing it, it's they. So how can we get the best out of them? By growing more leaders and making them more confident. Let them speak up, right? You have a problem, speak up. Let me know. Don't drop in the suggestion box. And I had my office right at the HR. Every time somebody came to HR, door was open. First 2 years, 3 years, nobody from production came in. After that, regular people, they saw me, and I just dropped everything, except for when I was on a call. But most of the time, my door was always open, somebody there, yes. Undivided attention. So, yeah, it's the small thing, but again, I think it really depends on how you as a leader show. When I first arrived, they never had management meetings. It was neat to know, okay, I talk to this department, Josh, you can know this, and Chris, you can know this. Like, oh, yeah, only this. No, you know everything. We all have to work together to get the bonus at the end of the year. So I will tell you, we had 2017 was a bit of a lesser year. We still did okay, but there the bonus was 1 month instead of 1.5 or 2 months, right? So, but they understood because they were aware already from every month. Communication, give feedback, let them speak up. And it's tough, it goes against the local culture. But there is ways, and just persist and be open and let them know that this is good, this is come on. But tie them all together, right? Does that answer the question? Yes.
One last question for the wisest of us. Just I wisely turned off your microphone. There you go.
When you look at your financials, it took like 4 years before it showed some improvement, and then all of a sudden it looked like you had a breakthrough. Why?
Because I think it really started to click for the people, because when we've always had this volatility in the different departments, and before the mentality was, okay, please go help there, the mentality was, oh no, why me? Why always me? Yeah, you always pick on the person that you know that can do that process. And then it started, look, listen, if you go there, where you stay there, no overtime. You would not rather have some overtime? Yeah, okay. Because, it would help us get the bonus at the end of the year. Always find a way to link it up, right? And I think there it was maybe a bit of a eureka moment to say that really clicked, because, it was very intensive, and it took us a while to really get it going. And you need to put it in very simple language for production stuff. So.
It requires some persistence, right?
It does, yeah. And again, my boss was always on my case. What have you been doing? We called within the gemstones business. We didn't call it empowerment. We called it being powerful, because it's all about being. It's us, right? So we said, call it being powerful. What have you been done about being powerful this week? My jour fix every week. He was always on it. So yeah, it's not enough to just put a notice on a board. Be involved, get in there. Inform your staff.
All right. Thank you very much, Hugh.
Thank you very much.